The following is a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. For more information, please visit our website at dallasgenealogy.com.
Welcome to the Family Tree Maker Dallas Genealogical Society Special Interest Group for June. Today we're actually talking about using a third-party piece of software called Charting Companion in connection with Family Tree Maker. Family Tree Maker makes it pretty easy to use this tool in doing charts and reports. And I will say that some of the charts that in Family Tree Maker are fine, but there are others that are not. So you learn, if you want to do certain things, it would be best to buy this add-on. It is a plugin. You go through tools, plugin, exports with plugin, and then there's the charting companion. If you click on that, it's going to open on the person you have selected in your Family Tree Maker database. In this case, Viola Shows. If you want to change the person that you want all the stuff generated from, you can either go to this little multiple file folder and put in the surname and the given name and go to that specific person. Or you can double click on, if you know the path you want to go, you can double click on the name of the father until you get to where you want to go. But for now, we're going to do some stuff with descendants. So I kind of wanted to start with her. This little icon that has 3 little windows next to a big one actually shows you all the different kind of charts that Charting Companion will do. You have family group sheets, 2 different kinds. You have several different, a lot of different kinds of charts. And then you have your typical ancestor and your typical descendant. They also have some things with DNA. However, I can't really show you those because I don't have any DNA stuff entered in my trees. But I will show you the family group sheet. You click on the icon you want to do, click OK. And you can look at the contents if you want to. If she was married more than once, but she wasn't, you'd have a drop-down list. I don't want any of the LDS ordinances, and I do want it to print me at the bottom. The layout is strictly a chart number if you're printing multiple charts. If you want to add space for additional children, you can click the print space for additional children at the bottom. And if you want to print notes and or sources on a separate page, you can do that. I'm going to click that. Font you can select. I don't know what the default is because I always use Arial at least 11 points. It's the easiest thing to read. But you can also look at the wizard. If you go to wizard and go to export, well, you're looking at the same thing as that other one. In some of the folders, you can do more. So we're going to do a preview. It's going to actually open in Adobe. But this is what it looks like. And that's one of the other one, the standard one, doesn't have so many lines, and you pick your choice on which is the easier you think to read. This one is actually showing all the records. The other one didn't do that. So this is the standard where it gives you all the sources, because I told it to print the sources. All right, I'm going to go to the next one. Hourglass Tree. Oh, let me go up a few generations. And let's use Norval to be our person on the Hourglass chart. I want my ancestors on the left. Actually, I want my descendants on the left, ancestors on the right. The scale is 100%. This is setting up your margins. This is telling you what printer size you're going to use. In this case, it's letter size. But if you have a printer that will do other things, like I have a printer that will do tabloid as well as legal, but I also have a custom printer, and I can tell it what size I want it to print. But in this case, I always usually start out with, on these kind of things, with letter size, because I don't know really how big they're going to be. And so I do that. And then you can tell what kind of chart you want. The size, you have a drop-down list of different kind of boxes. Minimum width, maximum. I uncheck all boxes same width because sometimes that will be weird and it will cut off words, and this doesn't work very well. And some of these let you put a line underneath the name, which kind of highlights the name. You do want to limit the photo height if you're going to include photos. Otherwise, it makes the charts do weird things. Now, one of the things you can do is tell the chart what colors you want each generation to be. This is the Ancestors one by generation. And I'm going to do this one. For Descendants, I'm going to do the same one, only it will be backwards. And notice that it's telling you what color the font's going to be in there. Here again, the font's Arial, telling me what the title is. If you want a border or not. Now, lots of times if you're doing, I know from experience in printing large wall charts, you don't really want a border because it's hard to get it to print correctly. You can add a background image. Just make sure that you make it really faint or it will obscure everything else. Or you can use a particular background color and you can pick one from anything. Although remember, that's going to print and use a lot of ink. So you may not really want to do that. And I'm going to preview this chart. And this is what it looks like. Well, I shouldn't have made it smaller, but down here at the bottom, it tells you what the size is. So this particular chart is going to be 16.1 inches wide and 83 inches long. So lots of people, it's 2 pages wide of legal and 12 high. You're going to be doing a lot of taping. But I'm going to make this smaller so you can kind of, oops, you can rearrange stuff too. This is kind of what you can see. This is your original couple down here, parents, children, and then grandchildren. And to go back to do a different chart, you just click on that same little icon again, and you're back to here. However, before I go there, you hit on printer, it takes you back to your options thing. And if you hit publish, it's going to take you to a Windows window, and you can tell it where you want it to go. This particular one, you can save it in a variety of formats. If you're going to save it to send off to like Kinko's or whatever to have it printed, it would behoove you to call them and ask them what format they would like it in, and make sure you give them the dimensions of the chart so they can best tell you what to do. Some of them will want it in PDF, but I don't know if PDF saves it very well. JPEG does better because it saves it as an image, and then you can pretty much tell it to print it any way you want to. I'm going to hit cancel here. Okay, go back to here. The kinship report, I'm not going to generate this tree, is too big and it will croak it. The Trellis chart is one of the most confusing charts I have ever seen. I don't really understand it. And I will do one, but I'm only going to use a few generations, like 3, because it's confusing. I don't know that I would ever print a chart like this to share with anybody. I don't even know that I need it. The one I like using the best are either the Ancestor Fan Chart or the Descendant Fan Chart, because you can see where your holes are easier on that one, because it's not huge and spread out and long. It's more of a concise little thing. And I don't know how long this is going to take to generate. While it's doing its thing, I will tell you that if you decide to use this software, it behooves you to go out and look at their website. It tells you all the different softwares it will do, about some of the different options it has, and it has a learning center area where you can download helps. They actually have a tutorial and a help on wall chart printing tips to help you print those bigger charts. So it might behoove you to do that if you decide to use this as an option. This particular software will work with not just Family Tree Maker, but almost all the genealogy software packages. Maybe not as easy as with Family Tree Maker being a plugin, but you can still use it with them. So, I use it for several different softwares. And if somebody were to send you a tree that you couldn't open because you don't have that software, you could probably open it in this and be able to see the people in it and maybe print off a report. Usually what I do anyway is print off a report when somebody sends me a tree. I found out either who they are and print their ancestors, or who that ancestor is that I really want to deal with, and do an outline descendant report, which is available in this software. And I'm going to cancel this because it's going to take too long to generate. The Dandelion Chart, let's just say, is a weird chart. I don't know who. This is one that could certainly mess up your cousins in dealing with it. You have all the same options as you had in the other one, but this is a dandelion chart. And the different colors are the different generations, but like Emily and Norval had 3 sons, one of which had children, got married and had children. Well, this lists her parents. This is his parents. This color is the parents. And this is the wife's parents. And then their son married this lady, and this is their children. I put 2 generations on each side and made them different colors. But like I said, it's confusing. I don't know if I would want to use that in a reunion. They have the typical pedigree and ancestor chart, which from my point of view, Family Tree Maker has a pretty good pedigree chart and ancestry chart. They do not have the fan charts. We cancel out of this, and I want to go back to my person because I want to go back to Newsom and then Viola. I want to show you the Ancestor Fan Chart. Here again, you tell it how many generations, the layout. And this is where I actually changed my thing to a plotter in its custom size. And I'm going to tell it 84 inches and 42 because that's the widest paper I have. because I'm going to make the radius 40 inches. And I'm going to do my colors, that one. And I'm going to do a preview. So this is actually 40 by 80 because I told it that's what I wanted my radius to be. But I'm going to go back. Well, now I got to find it. Just a minute. Where'd it go? Well, it hit it. Well, start over again. Oh, that's why it made it way small. And this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to make it go back out to its regular size. And I'm going to save it. As a JPEG. I happen to know that this will make it easier for y'all to see it. So that's why I'm going to do it. All right. This makes it really obvious where your holes are that you don't have. You know, I don't know who his wife was. I don't know who her parents are. So it makes it real visible where you're missing your ancestors. These are also the type of things I like to look at in dealing with Family Finder DNA, because you can put in like 8 generations and it helps you see all your surnames that might possibly link with somebody, because the standard size of a tree in Roots in Family Tree Maker is like 4 generations in the software itself. So you can't see anything beyond those 4 unless you navigate. So like, see, the farthest you can see is that, unless you move. But in this case, oops, you can see all of them, even more. And I could add other generations so I could see even more. That's why I like using this particular one. Now I'm going to go back over here to Newsom and show you a Descendant Fan Chart. The half circle works better than anything. Oops, plotter. And I don't know if that plotter option will show up for you. I have one. That's why it shows up for me. So you can be aware of that. Okay, publish. This is well, this opened in a PDF because I didn't tell it to do a JPEG, and it didn't save the whole thing. So let me redo it. That's why you want to make it a JPEG. And then you just have to tell the printer what size you want it. So this is the couple. These were all their children. This row is their grandchildren. This row is their great-grandchildren. Anything that goes straight through means that person did not have children. Or I can't find anything else about them. So you have to be aware of that. All right. But there again, this is very colorful. It just depends on what option you choose on how you want it to save. Back over here. This is the outline descendant report. This is the one I said I like to do for if I'm going to get somebody else's tree. And the reason I like doing this one is because it keeps by child all of the children that you have, all the information you have on that one person all the way down. And it makes it so much easier to do data entry because usually you're doing data entry that way. And then you go back to the next child and go all the way down them. It just makes doing data entry easier. And what I do is source as I go. I do find mistakes all the time in other people's work. That's why I don't merge it anymore. I always do this. I save the PDF. I don't ever print it because usually they're humongously long. This one isn't. I might actually print it and then I highlight it as I do it. But I can stick it over on another screen because I have multiple monitors and just work from it that way. So I'm going to now go and show you a Descendant book. Okay. I want footnotes in it. I want these items included. Cousin smart means that if you've got like first cousins marrying first cousins or fifth cousins marrying fifth cousins, you will only have a spot that only one of the lines will go all the way down and the other one will say refer to page such and so. So it will only print that whole line once, which saves a ton of paper. And they are nice. They ask if you want to include a print sample page with explanations, which is a nice thing for them to do so you know how the numbering system works. Here again, you have layout with numbering scheme. Roman numerals is usually what I use. And your page layout and how you want the different names to be bold and regular and all that information. Thing is this does not allow you to check to do your font settings. If you publish this, it will take a minute to generate. It will ask you where you want to save it. And this is rich text format. And it's going to take you a minute to save it. And this is WordPad. I don't want to open it in WordPad. That's its default. I want to go back and open it in Word. Well, I don't know why I did it that way. Just a minute. The wrong thing. Oh. because you can, or one of the things that's nice about this software, it will give you the index coding, and that is something that Family Tree Maker does not do in its reports. So this is an editable document. You can go in and make changes in this database. So like a lot of the text you might want to change. If I'd printed stories, you for sure would want to change it. But it has the index at the back of the book. So it's easier to deal with. Or if you're in Word, you can create your own index. Which is one of the reasons I recommend using this if you're going to do a report, because if you print a report out of Family Tree Maker, you don't have index coding and you have to, so you can't change anything because then your index will be wrong. Okay. I said I couldn't do the DNA one. This is the Ancestor book. Wait. Let me go down to Viola. No, what am I doing? Wrong way. No, it's not. I was right. Ancestors. Here again, you can tell it where you want to print sources, print the as footnotes or endnotes. I like them as footnotes, and I will show you why in this one in a minute. The other options are all the, I can change that to Word here. I didn't do that in the other one. Okay, so this one opened right because I changed it, but there's your example of how the numbering system works. Her ancestors. It does give you her children. And of course, all the footnotes. And one of the reasons I like to do the footnotes instead of endnotes is as I am editing, I take out a lot of the footnotes and put the actual document in. And one of the reasons I like doing that is people won't read your footnotes, but they sure will look at a document. They're curious about those documents and how you put it all together. And even though they're hard to, some of them are hard to read and you have to put in transcriptions, And some of them, they have to be translated because they're in a foreign language. But it means a whole lot more to see an actual record than all those footnotes. I mean, this is hugely long. Her grandparents. And a lot of the sources are duplicated because you're talking about census records and birth records and marriage records. But here again, this has the index coding in it. So you don't have to do that. That's why I'm saying you can edit this, put the picture in or your media in of the actual document. And in this case, it didn't index it. But you're in Word. So you can insert an index. I can remember how to do that. All right, it's been too long since I've done that. Oh, references. Insert index. And you can tell it how many columns and everything, and click OK, and it should generate you an index. There it goes. So if you adjust it, do all your edits and everything, and then you come over here and tell it to update the field, and it will update all your page numbers for you. If you don't have that index coding, I can tell you from experience, it takes a lot of time to index code this stuff. I did 2 different books years ago that were Descendant books. I edited them and did everything. It's before index software put into any index coding in anything. On one of those, it took me like 80 hours just to do the index coding, on top of all the editing I had already done. So it really, if I only have to do a few additional indexing in my stories, that's nothing compared to trying to index code 1,000 people. So utilize the sources as you can, resources that you can to do, make your life easier. No. All right, let's see. Are there any others? The bow tie reports charts are really kind of interesting because that will do both descendants and ancestors. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because it will take too long to generate. But this is real small. So you have her parents and his parents. So basically parents and grandparents. But you can do much more, but that's the principle of the bow tie. You have the common person in the middle, and then you go out from there. I had one lady that was a Mayflower descendant on a variety of ancestors. And we did a bow tie chart and actually told it to include all of her siblings and then all their, and but it gave them the whole thing, all the descendants and all the direct ancestors. So it was a pretty cool chart. Okay, I am going to stop recording now and answer questions.
This has been a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. If you're already a member, thank you. If you're not a member, please consider joining now by going to dallasgenealogy.com and clicking on the membership tab. Your membership dues will help us support the genealogy section of the Dallas Public Library, and it will allow us to continue our education and preservation efforts.